Let's go to the pandemic. For more than a year, New York hospital workers were cheered in the streets for working tirelessly through the pandemic. And now some are about to be discarded, like old bedpans. New York's replacement governor, Kathy Hochul, now says healthcare workers who don't get vaccinated by Monday will be replaced. Keep in mind, there's already a major shortage of nurses, not just in New York, but across the country. And this seems like a bad idea. The nurses are not alone. Thousands of U.S. troops could now face disciplinary action for refusing COVID injections. So are the mandates causing more problems than they solve? Here with me tonight, Kentucky Republican Congressman and House Judiciary Committee member Thomas Massie is back. Congressman, welcome back to the show. This seems like such a legit show. Wait till people see hate mail and topical storm later. Fun, fun, fun. Yes. All right, so is it smart to go after the frontline workers who put themselves in harm's way in terms of COVID throughout the entire pandemic?
Absolutely not. Who are they going to replace them with? If they say they're going to replace these workers who won't get vaccinated, are they going to replace them with lower skilled workers? This is ridiculous. And it's not just a war on the frontline workers, it's a war on the first responders. The police and the firefighters are calling me and saying, a lot of them are saying we've already had COVID, we don't need the vaccine, we don't want to have the extra risk involved. And Kennedy, some people use the example of George Washington, General George Washington, where he said all of his members of the military were going to get vaccinated, and he required that. But if you go back and look, he said all of the military members who haven't had smallpox are going to receive the smallpox inoculation, and that included himself. He had it as a teenager, so he didn't take the inoculation again. So if we just apply a little bit of science, we wouldn't need all these mandates. They're also illegal and unconstitutional. I mean, Joe Biden knows he doesn't have the power to promulgate this to 100 million people. He can't put a needle in you, but he thinks if he inserts an administrative agency and your employer between him and you, that he can get the needle in you. That is wrong.
And your fellow Kentuckian Senator Rand Paul, he's also taken issue with the mandates for the military, because there are a lot of service members who feel the same way nurses do, and many of them have had the virus. They contracted it, and they want to trust their natural immunity, and including, one general who said that he had taken the anthrax vaccine 8 times and resigned over this mandate. What are your feelings there?
Yes. Well, I've introduced legislation. It's H.R. 3860. We're up to 36 co-sponsors that would prohibit the military not just from forcing people to take the vaccine, but also from coercing people to take the vaccine, because we're hearing that in the military. Even though the mandate hasn't kicked into effect, a lot of them are getting coerced, a lot of them who've already had the virus, and so therefore have an immunity that's been proven to be greater than the vaccine. And we've offered amendments in committees. It's hard when you're in the minority. I'm on the Transportation Committee. I offered an amendment there, but I found out that every Democrat on that committee was willing to vote for vaccine passports. This is another thing that's coming. Vaccine passports are on the horizon. I think it's ridiculous. And then they're saying, well, if you haven't had the vaccine, we have to test you every day to see if you're infected. But we know that those who've had the vaccine, even though they may have lower symptoms and less severe outcomes, they still can spread the virus. So why would you test only the unvaccinated? Why would you even test those who've had the virus already? And why wouldn't you test those who are vaccinated?
No one has a good answer for that, and no one can define science. I wish they would be able to. Not everyone went to MIT, but you did. Congressman Thomas Massie, thank you so much for your time, as always.
Thanks for having me on, Candy.